Okay, now that we've had a chance to cool off a little bit, you ready to talk about our Belarus, Russia experience?
Maybe. I guess we'll see. It was just so frustrating.
Totally. Like, you have frustrating days of travel, that's just part of it, but this was like, it drove us to the point where we were almost numb to anything else.
The hard part was that we've done all the research, and the whole time we thought we were right.
1, 2, 3. 3, 2, 1.
Let's start from the top. We were in Kyiv, Ukraine. Our plan was to fly from Ukraine to Belarus and have a full day in Belarus to explore, wander around.
What did we end up having? We had like a 14-hour layover?
Yeah.
Okay.
So we planned it on purpose so that we had a long layover so that we could go see everything in Belarus.
We left Ukraine at like the crack of dawn, like bright, like the sun was barely even up, and it was a very quick flight to Belarus. So we had plenty of time in Belarus.
And then from Belarus, we were flying to Istanbul with a layover in Moscow. So that was the plan. Most people know that you need a visa to get into Russia. However, if you just stop at the airport and you don't leave the airport, you do not need a visa.
And this is from any country in the world. So literally throw a dart, hit the map. If you are flying into Russia from that country, you're A-okay as long as you're flying out at the same time. If your dart happens to hit Belarus, you cannot. You pick the one country out of 210 countries where you're not allowed to go into Moscow because they consider that a domestic flight, which we did not know.
So we get to Belarus.
So we had two options, right? We go to baggage claim, or left, we go to international transfers.
Okay.
And I was like, let's go to international transfers just to make sure, just to double check.
So we go to the desk at international transfers and the girl is like, you cannot go to Moscow.
And we're over here thinking I was like, I know Jordan's done all the research. He's confirmed it so many times. I double checked just to make sure because I'm that wife. And we were totally good to fly into Moscow without a visa as long as we were leaving.
So we told her that. We're like, no, we've done all the research. We don't need a visa. Like, call whoever you need to call. Let's get this figured out.
And she takes our passports and goes, follow me. And she starts walking down and takes us to border patrol, basically, to check us out of Belarus. Both Jordan and I were like, no, we can't cross that yet because we have to get on this flight. Because now we're nervous. Now we're like, we might not leave Belarus, might get stuck. We don't want to pay for that. We're like, don't make us cross the border. And some guy at Border Patrol was like, you can talk to visas upstairs.
So we're like, okay, so we go to visas upstairs. Turns out it's the consulate general for Belarus. And so we tell him the situation and he's like, no, you don't need a visa to go to Moscow. Like, you're not leaving the airport. We're like, thank you, we know that. You're the first person to confirm it.
And so many other people on top of him, like, yeah, no, you're totally fine. No, you're fine. And Jordan was like, can you come with us to the desk and tell the woman so she can let us in? He's like, no, tell them just to call us. We're not going to walk all the way down there, but call us and you'll be fine.
So now we go back to the girl at the desk and we're like, okay, it's confirmed. We do not need a visa. Talk to the consulate general.
She's not happy to see us, the woman at the desk. When we walk up, she's like, takes a deep breath. And we're just like, no, we're right. You're wrong.
So she calls her manager. Her manager comes out and this woman was something else.
Oh my
She
God.
started yelling at us.
She was pissed when she arrived, which totally didn't help the situation. And she was like, come now, come, like yelling at us. And Jordan hit her with those two words that all women love was calm down. And she lost it. And she starts, no, you don't know, you cannot, just yelling at us. And we're like, whoa. I was like, can we just go talk to the consulate guy that told us we were allowed to because he's an official here. And so we walk over there.
And so then these two get in a shouting match, which we should have a little clip of here.
Наши
Я этих
самолеты.
тонкостей не знаю.
Ну так
Вы
значит вы
объясняете,
тогда не давайте им такую информацию, потому что
информацию? Они,
вот сейчас
подождите,
они
они
мне угрожают.
прилетели из третьей страны, следуют в Российскую Федерацию, как они нам объяснили. Транзит.
We didn't understand a word. They're all yelling in Russian. And her and I are just looking at each other and we can't help but smile. Like, what have we gotten ourselves
It's
into?
kind of funny. So the woman didn't explain anything. She just kept saying, you can't do it, you can't, you have to come, you have to leave Belarus, come, you can't. And we're just like, we need a reason. We're logical people. We can't just follow this woman without totally understanding why. And in the translations back and forth, I kind of caught that it was a domestic flight, that the airspace between Belarus and Russia is technically domestic, and that that's not an international flight to them, in which case you would need a visa. The one and only country, the one country we're in, we pick it and we can't get out of it.
We did it. And so this lady starts telling us, you have to get out of Belarus, you have to leave, you have to leave. And so she's like, come with me. And she like forces us to border control. We cross into Belarus and she takes us up to the area where you purchase new tickets to leave. And she's
Have
like,
you ever bought a ticket at the airport?
Never. She's like, okay, buy a ticket and leave. And so
And she said, you have to either go back to Ukraine or you need to go to a new country. Pick. And we're like, well, we're on like a pretty tight budget. We kind of need to figure out what makes sense financially. She's like, no, pick. And we're like, well, we're not going to go back to Ukraine. So
we didn't know what to do. We considered all options, and finally we ended up finding a flight that flew from Minsk, Belarus to Latvia, Riga, Latvia, and
to Moscow.
then to Moscow.
Where
And
we
so-
would catch that flight to Turkey.
So we bought those tickets, way too expensive, but we ended up going to Latvia, and then we went to Moscow, and finally made it on our flight from Moscow to Istanbul. Hey honey, welcome to Russia.
You guys are in Russia.
It has been one of the worst days, probably the worst day
The
of our
worst
travel.
travel day ever.
Still don't think I'm ready to talk about it, but
With some major visa issues, we are not allowed to stay here.
and we don't know if we're gonna get our bags back. So that's fun. We will
Walk
keep everything updated and walk faster. We're gonna miss another flight.
We've been to so many countries today, and we still have one more.
This is crazy.
So we took that red eye from Moscow. We ended up getting in like 3, 4 a.m. into Turkey.
Oh, and then the other fun part about getting into Turkey. So
It's fun for who?
we arrived at Turkey, and our hotel is like a 45-minute taxi ride away. And at this point, we're so exhausted. We've been traveling all day. We're grumpy, and we get an Uber.
Oh, and I literally said, I was like, hey, Jord, are you tracking to make sure we're headed in the right direction? Because Istanbul's massive. And we both knew that there was a hotel with the exact same
No, we
name.
didn't know that.
Yes, we did. You knew that when we were booking. You said there's this one and there's this one. One's on the water, one's in the city.
So we get in the Uber. Apparently, there's 2 Marriott, Istanbul, Polat
With
hotels,
an extra name.
and then one extra name. So, of course, as the story would go, we go to the wrong one. We're like 40 minutes out of the way.
We get out of the taxi, we walk in, we're stoked. I do notice that it's not on the water because we got the one that was on the water, and I'm like, we're right next to the big mall. I was like, we're right next to the city. I was like, oh my gosh. And I'm sitting there and I was like, no. And Jordan walks up and goes, reservation under Egbert. And
She's just like,
she goes,
no.
no. And he's like, no what? And she's like, I only have 2. And there's no Jordan, there's no Egbert. I was like, she just lists off the other 2 names. So she says that you're at the wrong location. You have to go to the other one. And
We just look at each other and laugh, and we're like, of course, you know.
typical. So we get back in the car. I turn on a Netflix show because we have like a 40-minute drive to our other hotel.
But we ended up making it, I don't know what time it was, 4 a.m. or whatever. We get into our bed, and there's hair all over in my bed. And I'm like, just another cherry on top. Perfect.
And then there needs to be a rule. All hotels, if anyone who owns a hotel is watching this, please, if you have a late check-in, if someone comes in later than even like 11 o'clock at night, especially 4 or 5 a.m., do not come to clean their room. They're asleep. Like, I can guarantee you. So we get our knocks on our doors. First time is like 7:30. I was like,
who does room service, cleaning service at 7 a.m.?
it was unreal. And then again at 9, and then again at 10. And I'm like, we're trying to snooze.
But ended up being a blessing because after all these incidents, they upgraded us to like an executive suite and we got access to this club lounge.
And free breakfast.
Ended up being awesome. So
it was fine.
Good ending to the story.
But all in all, we hit 5 countries in 24 hours. Never when we started this trip did we think that this would ever have happened to us. But I'm impressed because we went into it. We're like, whoa, we're going to hit like a lot of countries in a short amount of time. But we hit way more than we thought.
And for those asking, yes, we are counting both Belarus and Russia towards our country list for now. If we have the chance to come back, we get invited by someone, we'd love to see both of those countries. So we're not counting that out. However, we are counting them for our countries for the time being.
So that was our story. Today's a different video than most of them, but thanks for watching our story time.
We got a beautiful story.